Connacht 26, Ulster 19. A bit of an upset. Connacht get the win in this interprovincial Irish derby. It's a bit weird because Ulster won away from home against Connacht at Connacht, and Connacht now beating Ulster at Ulster away from home. So normally these derby games, you have a really big home advantage, but it's just funny that both these teams, such a big rivalry, such a historic rivalry, both won away from home. Before the game, it did say also that for this rivalry, the last 5 games, that a 60% chance of winning if you are the home team. So that's obviously going to decrease right now. But this was a really big win for Connacht. Now moving into the top 8 of the table. There is still a few games left to be played for the weekend, like the Lions, the Sharks. But overall, I think it's only the Lions that, if they win, can go above Connacht. But this is a really big win for them going forward in their playoff push, in their push for the top 8. This was a really important win for them. And for Ulster, they're still firmly at number 2. Storm is still to play tomorrow. Leinster still to play today. So it could be a bit interesting. It could change around. But Ulster will still probably be within the top 4 by the end of the weekend. Actually, they'll definitely be within the top 4. So still a very healthy position for them. I do think if you are near the top 4, you really are going to want to push to get that top 4 spot, especially top 2, so that you can eventually have a home quarterfinal and a home semi-final. So Ulster is probably pushing for that, and they still have a very good team. I just think this game, back from a long break, some guys coming back weren't really too cohesive. They didn't really have that much game time over the last few weeks together. A few guys missing as well, the likes of Stuart McCloskey and Nick Timoney, some really key players, Cormac Izachukwu. So these things are going to play a role. And to be honest, Connacht really just came out and played a very good game. Finlay Bealham had a good game. Bundi Aki was phenomenal. Kian Prendergast was a really big threat at the breakdown. So honestly, I think Connacht deserve to win this game. These derby games, it is a bit of a 50-50, a coin flip. You don't really know who is going to win at the end of the day. And I do say that for these kind of derby games in the URC, all form before it. So if a team's undefeated for 5 games before this and the other team's lost 5 games in a row, it really doesn't matter for these games. It's always going to be a close game. It's always going to be competitive, and it's always going to be about what happens on the day. And on the day, Connacht got the better of Ulster, but it was some really good rugby on show, especially the try that Nathan Doak scored under the poles. That was a phenomenal try. But Connacht really stepped up, and this was a really big win for them. But let's go into some of the stats for the teams, and then we'll go over some of the big individual performances. So, 22-meter entries, average points scored per 22-meter entry. Connacht getting 4.3 average points per entry. That is a lot. That is really clinical from them. And only 6 entries, whereas Ulster, 11 22-meter entries and an average of 1.7 points scored. That's going to be something they're going to have to work on, really converting the pressure when they do apply the pressure, because you can clearly see that Connacht were just taking the opportunities, whereas Ulster had more opportunities, but just didn't make the most of it. Just looking at the attacking profile overall, you can kind of get a good view of where one team really dominated the other team. It was quite even for kicks. It was a little bit even for carries. Post-contact meters, Ulster were better. 22-meter entries, Ulster were better. But overall, Connacht really, they were so much more dominant when it came to line breaks and the 22-meter conversion. And when you get those line breaks, that's where you start to get those opportunities. That's where you start to get those much better areas of the field where you can start getting into the 22-meter line. And overall, Connacht just were much better on the day and much more clinical. Looking at the defensive profile, they were quite even for offloads allowed, but Connacht once again were much better for dominant tackles, tackles made, turnovers won, and the tackle turnover. So these are kind of those areas where you have to be a bit better. And if you do look at these stats throughout every game, they do play a very pivotal role in whoever does win the game. Ulster weren't the best with their dominant tackles, weren't the best with their tackles made. They did miss less tackles, but they also made less tackles. So it does go a long way there. And tackle offloads allowed, Ulster allowing 8 offloads in the tackle to Connacht 7. So it is quite close, but overall, just looking at the stats on the attacking profile and the defensive profile, especially the defensive profile, Connacht really dominated Ulster in the defensive game. When it comes to the attack, it was closer, but Connacht, where it matters most, such as the line breaks and converting in the 22s with the 22-meter entries, were just much better. Just looking at some of the territory, Ulster 54% territory to Connacht's 46%. Ruck speed, average ruck speed was about the same. Rucks won, 138 rucks won for Ulster, which shows they just had more opportunities this game. They had the ball in hand for longer, but Connacht just made it count. Looking at some of the set plays, 100% scrum win rate for both teams, so it's a very good stat there. Very competitive game. 79% line-out win rate for Ulster. They're going to want to fix that, especially playing at home, where you normally these kind of set play statistics, the set piece does favour the home team. Connacht with a 92% line-out win rate. Restarts received, 4 to Ulster, 5 to Connacht. Restarts received win percentage 100% for Ulster and only 86% for Connacht, so there was more opportunities for Ulster there as well, which they just didn't capitalize on. Looking at some of the good individual performances from the game, points scored: Finn Treacy 10 points, Nathan Doak 7 points, Sean Norton 6. Carries: Joano Augustus with 16 carries. He really tried to show himself physically, but the team just didn't pitch up the same way they did in previous weeks. Angus Bell with 15 carries, Finn Treacy with 14 carries. Kicks in the game: Nathan Doak with 14 kicks, Colm Reilly with 10. And then looking at the meters carried, Zach Ward 109 meters carried. He was phenomenal yesterday. Finn Treacy again 106. He had a phenomenal game. And Sean Janssen, a really underrated loose forward with 71 meters carried. Line breaks: Finn Treacy with 3 line breaks. He was all over the show. Werner Kok and Zach Ward with 1 each. Offloads: Jacob Stockdale with 2. He played okay yesterday. I don't know if he was the best at centre, but with what they had, it was probably the right call to have him there. Obviously, they're going to get Stuart McCloskey back, and that's going to be a big boost for them going forward. Robert Balakoon's out for a few months now, but when he does come back, hopefully for the playoffs, maybe that'll be a really big boost for them as well. But right now, they've still got some really good players, and they've still got some really good players coming back as well that had a big impact in the Six Nations. Defenders beaten: Zach Ward 5, Finn Treacy 5, and Joano Augustus 4. So it's good to see Joano Augustus named there a lot. I know he's had a bit of a quiet start to the season, but he's definitely finding his feet now. He's a very good signing for this Ulster team. And when they get the likes of a Cormac Azuchukwu back, Nick Timoney back, Stuart McCloskey back, this Ulster team is going to have a much different look to them. Try assists: 1 for Jacob Stockdale, 1 for Bryn Ward, 1 for Joano Augustus, and tries: 2 tries for Finn Treacy. Turnovers lost: 3 for Ian Henderson, not a very good stat. 3 for Ben Carlson as well. And then looking at the defense, tackles made: Kian Prendergast with 21 tackles made. He made a statement yesterday. He didn't play that much in the Six Nations. We thought he was going to play a lot more. I do think after the 2027 World Cup, he's going to have a lot more caps because he is still a younger guy. He's leading this Connacht team and he's leading them very well. 21 tackles made. Sean Janssen with 19 tackles made. Dave Hefferman with 19 tackles made as well. So some really big individual performances from Connacht. Tackles missed: Sean Norton 5 tackles missed, Jack Murphy 5, and Shane Jennings 4. Dominant tackles: 3 for Billy Bowen, 2 for Darren Murray, and 2 for Josh Murphy. So overall, you can just see with the stats that Connacht maybe had a few more players that stood out individually. They also played better as a team. They converted in the right areas. And yes, stats don't mean everything, but after the fact, when you look at some of the stats like converting in the 22, even if you don't get more entries, if you do convert every time you're in the 22, you most likely are going to win the game. If you get more dominant tackles, you most likely are going to apply pressure where you can go there and get opportunities to go win the game as well. So it's clear to me that Connacht definitely were the better team on the day. Ulster will fix this. They are a top 4 team in my opinion. If I had to do a bit of a power rankings, Ulster probably would be number 3 right now. So they definitely are a good team and they're going to try to bounce back from this in the weeks going forward. Overall, 50% win rate in the Irish Derby this year. So 1-1 away from home, lost 1 at home. Both teams will be happy but not satisfied with that. You don't want to lose 2 of those derby games because it can have a really big effect on your season going forward. But Connacht with a big win, this will really boost them. This is massive for this team that probably people do perceive as the 4th best Irish team in the tournament. So this is going to be big for them if they want to push for that playoff spot. Ulster still near the top 2. Will they be at the top 2 by the end of the weekend? Not sure, but they have such a good squad and they really are trending up in the right direction. So they'll bounce back from this loss. It's just the first week back, the first full week back. So very interesting to see how the rest of their games will go. It's going to be very exciting. And if you guys do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. See you in the next one. Cheers.